Hmm. Am I live? I just gotta make sure that this is working. Um, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's working. Hello, hello. Is my microphone working? Oh, it says I'm live. I think it's working. Who knows? All right, it's working. Perfect. All right. Today I am talking about why I hate Team Liquid so much. Uh, how do I think that's the way. There we go. Yes, today I will be talking about why I went from being a Team Liquid fan to a Team Liquid hater. And it all starts with 2015. So let me share my screen. Hmm. Hello, hello. Truman. It's me. And aw, thank you. Thank you, Truman. I'm glad you fixed your mic. Thanks. For some reason, my mic works sometimes and doesn't work sometimes. You give a tip about it. Oh, I think I know. Yeah, I remember that. Thank you. Um, I can't share my screen for some reason. There. All right. I think it should be visible now. Yeah, I remember. I had a few people give me tips on how to fix my mic. How is it? The fly got stolen. I know it was so embarrassing. Um, just because all of the trash talk that they were talking, and then APA just like makes Jensen look like a non-factor, which is pretty embarrassing. I agree, but that's not even why I hate Team Liquid. I hate Team Liquid from way before, from straight up 2015. I don't know how many people were watching since 2015. APA was a 6-1 trick mostly used all season, then somehow APA like has been putting a lot of effort. And I think one of day one, I talked to of the split, I talked to Spawn, and he was saying like, "Hey, he's not just a Ziggs one trick. He actually plays a lot of other stuff, and he's put a lot of time over the off season really improving his stuff. And he plays a mean Azir. Like I think Azir obviously was disabled, which may have honestly really hurt JoJo and Jensen. So, but everyone was playing with Azir disabled, so sucks. Yeah. Also, I didn't understand draft of game one. Like you just playing full engage into disengage. Yeah, I don't know. The Urgot was fine, honestly, but the Kaisa just not going poke, just not playing a poke comp. Yeah. It was very annoying because game one was a stomp, game two, game three, and game four were closer, but it was still it hurts to see Team Liquid win. It really does. They also 2 owed us Shopify in the split. It sucks. They also had really good trash talk. Like Impact was just like, oh, I don't need to trash talk Shopify. They're just trash. Felt like no leadership from the veterans on fly. Yeah, it seemed like Whippo, I think, was talking about how he was just playing scared. Busio and Masu did fine. I agree. They did. I think for their first finals, they did great. Especially Busio. Like game one, he was inting, and game two, he just brought it back, which is really hard to do. So it's pretty impressive, honestly. Um, I can see them making finals again. I don't know if they'll win. Depends on like how they develop, but Masu has been a treat. So yeah, in 2015, I was actually a Team Liquid fan, and I don't know how many people have been watching since 2015, but the roster of Quas, I Will Dominate, Phoenix, Piglet, and Xpecial was a very special roster. You had that whole, Phoenix Quadra kill. I've been watching since it was Curse. That was like 2014, right? Yeah, that I was not a fan of Curse, but when became Team Liquid, it was I like their 2015. I think I started really liking them during the summer. Quas is underrated if you didn't have his drug. Was it drugs? I thought it was something else, but Yeah, Quas was something else. He would be an A GOAT. I don't know, I feel like he got kinda gapped in 2015. Like, he did fine all regular season, and then when it came to playoffs, he just didn't show up. He was okay, okay. He was microdosing Molly. Yeah, I remember he had, like, a psychosis attack or something, and he, like, raged, and he ended up having to be, like, suspended, but I didn't know it was because of his yeah, he was having mental breakdowns, assaulted teammates or something. I heard it got aggressive, but I didn't know there was, like, any physical assault or anything. But, yeah, that's a throwback to, like, almost 10 years ago now, 9 years ago. But honestly, that team was so much fun to watch, and I think my hatred for them started as or not hatred, I was just really sad that they didn't, like, sandbag that game so that they wouldn't have to play TSM in the first round and just lose for fun. Um, that sucked, but they did end up, beating TIP and making 3rd. I was very, very sad when CLG beat TSM, not just because I was a Bjergsen fan at that time, but also because that meant Team Liquid had to play in the Gauntlet. But of course, they were going to win. Then Cloud9 does Cloud9 magic and wins. That was very sad. And in 2016, well, they get rid of Quas, they get rid of I'll Dominate, and they also got rid of Xpecial. They put in, if I remember, Smoothie, and then Smoothie was they got rid of Smoothie, put in Matt. Remember when LNQ dude, that LNQ team should have never existed. That was, like, very frustrating. Yeah. Poor I Will Dominate, honestly. He made it to Worlds once, even though, like, he should have probably made it, like, 4 or 5 times at that point. Um, but yeah, in 2016, they changed up a bunch of their roster, and they keep changing it. They make it to final or no, not the finals, to the semifinals, game 5 against CLG. The double TP happens. Piglet doesn't realize it's double TP, puts one trap, he's on Caitlyn, they die. Awesome, I'm still a fan of this team. 2017, they bring in Rain over. 2017 was not a good year. They had to bring in Double Lift to save them out from retirement. Honestly, around 2017, it was, like, not the greatest year for Team Liquid, probably their worst year ever, where they had to do all of that, like, paliasada, whatever that is in English, like all this clowning, bringing in a bunch of different players, trying midlit was a thing. They had golden glue, like it was nasty. So I'm not even going to talk about 2017. Um, it's tough times. I still wanted them to succeed, but I didn't think it was cool for Double Lift to just be a mercenary, join, get them back in, especially beating TSM on Team Liquid. Yeah, that was messed up. 2018 though, it was very nice to see what happened with Team Liquid. It was very, very easy to be a Team Liquid fan in 2018. And a lot of people don't remember what happened in the spring of 2018. But TSM was upset. TSM was supposed to be the one to win. Like, they were extremely strong. By the end of the split, it looked like no one could touch them. And I mean, 100 Thieves were first place. They finished in first place. Team Liquid had so many different problems. They were having arguing, like, publicly and privately. Team Liquid was not expected to win. They go into playoffs and things just work for them. Like, they didn't have to play TSM because TSM got Hakuho threshed. They ended up playing Echo Fox, if I'm not mistaken, or no, Clutch. Clutch. They played Clutch, and then they make it to the finals. And right before finals, huge tragedy hits Double Lift, where, like, he loses family members, and people weren't even sure that they were going to play in playoffs. Like, the Doublelift was going to play in finals. Doublelift knew he was going to play, but as fans, we were just like, "What is going on?" Yeah, that story. Well, it wasn't both his parents. It was just his mother. His father was injured. I think his father survived, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's been a while, but as far as I recall, his father survived. Um, Yeah, so that was, like, huge, and making it into playoffs and then winning 3-0 in the fashion that they did was one of the most cathartic, like, just seeing the emotions from Steve, who I was a fan of, just the players, everyone sort of bonding together. Ole, like, um, saying how he got a lot of tough love from Dollift, and he's proud that at the end he was able to play Braum, which apparently before he was getting flamed by Doublelift for not playing Braum. I have a lot of vivid memories of 2018 because obviously what happened with Doublelift was tragic, and it was sort of the first thing in the League of Legends ecosystem where something like that ever happened. And so it was big, and it was very, very easy to become a Team Liquid fan because they were always memed at for being always fourth, forever fourth. They were the fourth team to win LCS, and then they go to MSI, and the whole Joey thing happens with Ole, and it wasn't the greatest showing, but they come back, they repeat, they win the next split. Ole is playing a lot better. Um, and they 3-0 Cloud9, and Cloud9 had their own thing. They go to Worlds, not the greatest showing again. At least it was better than what happened. You say Steve because I felt like it was just, dude. As much as you can hate that, but Paid by Steve was an amazing meme, and the HTC phone as well. He's a personality. I don't like what he's developed into, but honestly, back in 2018, 2019, I really liked him. I used to hate Steve because I felt like he just swept his credit card for Korean teams, but after seeing how he actually bought up academy talent, that's actually part of the reason I hate Team Liquid is because he feels like you can just buy these rosters instead of developing a roster, and it feels like he got a huge fan base and then did nothing to keep them. He thought that, oh, I won, so now I have a fan base, so now I should cater to that fan base. No, he's like, oh, I should keep winning, and he just kept investing, keep winning, and not investing in the fan base and in the experience. I know they tried stuff. I just think what they tried sucked. And even his answers back in 2022 when I'm sorry, 2023 summer finals when they had the press conference with the owners, and he was like, "Yeah, fans are cool and all, but we think the best way to get fans is winning. We don't care about the other stuff." And it's like, no, that's not how you do that. TLB and Korean speaking teams says it all. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they all speak English this year, but there's four people who speak Korean. APA doesn't speak a word of Korean, so they have to use English. But yeah, 2018 was a really good year to be a Team Liquid fan. 2019, man, as a Bjergsen fan, that reverse sweep and Sven happening, on Ezreal of all things to get caught on Ezreal, yeah, that hurt. It still hurts. Last year they spoke all Korean. Yeah, they did. They spoke all Korean. I just yeah, it like you said, it gives you so many reasons to hate Team Liquid, even though you were a fan. Like you were a fan since Curse Truman, right? And you still found reasons to not like Team Liquid anymore. Hard to relate as an NA fan when you can't even understand them. I mean, I speak Korean, so I didn't feel that way at all, but I didn't like them anyways. Yeah, you were a Curse fan, so yeah, I like language learning. Not all of us can do that. That's funny. Yeah, but the reason I bring it up is because I didn't feel that disconnect, but obviously it makes sense for you to feel like, oh, I can't even relate to you guys if half of your comms are in a language I can't even understand. I have to read subtitles. So I can. It's not something I paid attention to, but I can you know relate to after you bring it up. Um, but yeah, 2018 was a really good year to be a fan, even though internationally they didn't do well. 2019 hurt a lot, but I was still a fan. It was amazing seeing CoreJJ just be the best support we've ever had in North America. Like we've never had a better support than CoreJJ. Everyone was playing really well. Jensen was playing well. He was getting carried too, and eventually his form would drop. But hey, that team made it to the finals of MSI, and they had really good preparation against the reigning world champions, and they beat them 3-1, like pretty convincingly. So it was very, very easy to be a fan of 2019 Team Liquid as well. They would go to Worlds and they wouldn't do as well. CoreJJ and Impact won Worlds like 10 years ago, never fell off. Yeah, Impact never having a bad season is insane. Like there were seasons where CoreJJ would not be the greatest, but and people would just like 2022, I think people were kind of down on him, especially in summer. I think 2023 spring, people were down on him as well. Like Impact, even on FlyQuest, even he finished ninth twice in his life, right? He finished ninth on Team Liquid in 2020 spring, and he finished ninth in 2023, like last split. Um, and he still looked like the best player on that team. And he still hard carried some games. It's crazy that Impact can be so consistent. Um, he's one of my favorite top laners for a reason. Core as well. I mean, Core winning world, and I had a chance to talk to him a little bit about uh, for 2018 when they collapsed and they were the first and only Korean team to not make it out of groups ever, and it was like a 3-year run. He was saying, like, "We made it to finals in 2016, we made it to world finals, then we made it to finals again in 2017 and actually won the whole thing, right? And every time we had to make it through the gauntlet, and then we went to the gauntlet again in 2018, and we were just so burnt out that by the time when we lost our first game, we mental boomed." Like, and you could see it. Crown was just like I remember the scene of him when they lost their first game, he just grabbed his jacket, threw it, and he was just, like, so frustrated, and, he was like, "Yeah, we were just completely burned out." They had Ruler and CoreJJ, and they go 1 and 5? I think they actually only beat C9. They lost both games to RNG and both games to Vitality. Dang. Yeah, the most embarrassing showing of a Korean team ever. Um, but I've become less and less emotional moment like that. I will make it fun to watch. I agree for sure. Um, 2018 Worlds was probably one of the best Worlds because you didn't know who would win. KT going all the way against IG, G2 taking um, RNG all the way. Like it was crazy. We didn't have a Korean team in semifinals. That's never happened before and has never happened since. So, um, e emotional moments definitely need to be highlighted more. And that's one of the things I wanna do, with my channel is to highlight these moments and to actually show them. Like, I do plan on having a video on 2018 spring with Doublelift and highlighting, like, his journey of being kicked off of TSM, not even knowing he was kicked. He found out on Reddit that he was kicked off of TSM. That's crazy to me. Um, that's messed up. But, yeah, that whole journey is not something that we see very often, and I want to highlight those kind of things. But right now, I'm working on the spring split, like this split that just ended. I'm making like sort of like a mini movie docu thing for the split because I think there were a lot of cool stories that weren't highlighted enough, and I think that the pressure of this split with so few games is very understated because we had a 3-week break in the middle. It was so easy to lose track of all that stuff. Yeah, Quas's department, that's a really good idea. Oh, yeah, there's so many stories that have come to light now, that we had no idea what was happening back then. I mean, there was the whole Gravity situation in 2015 as well, like, they finished 1st, right? Yeah, Gravity was 1st place in because they had to play the 6th seed, and the 6th seed was TSM, right? Yeah, and they got the trash talk between Hanser and Hanser. I mean, Hanser on world stage just crying in front of Shocks and just being like, "I'm sorry I let all my fans down." Like, that still hurt. Like, it feels like it was yesterday to me, but I don't think I'm at that level in my, like, video editing and creation where I can bring someone who you didn't even know about and make you feel that emotional attachment. Yeah, it feels strong, man. Um I don't think I'm good enough at it. I'm still working at it, which is why I'm trying to make videos that I think could help me improve slowly in my editing skills and in my storytelling skills. And then as I become better, I can then revisit and make better stories. Because like the fake odd video that I made, I thought was not representative of what I wanted. Ow, that hurt. Of what I wanted. The emotions weren't there that I wanted to show, and I felt like I wasn't able to show the ups and downs of his career. So I do wanna get better in order to make better videos like that. Um, but yeah, 2019, um, they made 2 roster changes. So Team Liquid has always been making roster changes, and going into 2020 was one of the first times. So in 2018, they made 5 changes. 2019, they made 2 roster changes. They bring in Jensen, they got rid of, Ole. It's not hard, just throw in some clips of old LCS VODs and commentate over it. You'd think so, but then I try that and it gets, like, 12 views, and I'm not even happy with it. I watch it back and I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel anything." But I'm still learning. I I want by the end of this year for me to be able to make whatever I wanna make and for whenever I make a video, it's the best LCS related video that comes out in that time. So no other team with like a whole crew can make better videos than me. That's my goal. Um, Not too worried about like what direction I'm going to go in, whether it's more interviews, whether it's more documentaries, whether it's less documentaries and more like I don't know, it could be anything. Like skits, whatever it is, I just wanna make the best. You can do it. I don't see anyone that has legit passion for LCS anymore, but you see I am very, very passionate about LCS. Like, um, I could just talk forever and ever and ever about LCS. I do wanna see it succeed, and I also wanna be a role model for people where they say like, "Oh, people don't watch videos anymore." That's one of the most frustrating things. I know I'm going off topic about why I hate Team Liquid, but this is part but it relates as well, is people when teams like Team Liquid come out with horrible, horrible titles and thumbnails, like the video intros, like it's just boring content, right? And sometimes it's actually really good content, but you just haven't strategized the way you're releasing it, and then lacking passion. David is one of the most passionate people. If you're in the New York area, you should definitely meet up with David. He had that watch party. Like I saw his TikToks and on Twitter. He's very, very Silvix. I don't know that I have his Discord anymore. I think I used to talk to him back in 2016, but I wasn't really focused on making videos. But I mean, I think I can probably join his Discord again and talk to him. I think very similarly. Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually talked to him about content creation. He used to host like these local tournaments, ARAM tournaments, and I used to play in them. I made it to finals twice and lost both times 2-1. So sad. Um, but yeah, the idea that like, oh, if people aren't watching the content, it's because people don't actually like this type of content. And I think that's complete BS. It's the fact that you're not making the content appealing enough. You're not playing YouTube's game. You're putting out YouTube video, but you're trying to play your own game. If you want your video to succeed on YouTube, you need to treat it like a YouTube video. And a lot of people aren't doing that. And so I want to be a role model where I show people like, hey, this is how you make good YouTube videos. And videos like you're making, if you just change them up, not even 100%, like 20, 30%, better title, better thumbnail, better editing, you can make much better videos that people actually watch. And it's a much better investment of your time because it actually grows your fan base and it brings people you didn't know about that didn't know about you to watching your content and being loyal fans of your team because you're giving them reasons to be fans. And that's something that I feel like has been, put on the shelf and people don't really care about, or they try and they fail because they don't know how to do it properly and then just blame the fans. It's so frustrating when they blame fans for stuff. I used to make league videos back in the day. I hit 10K subs. Dang, Truman. Give me top 3 or content wise right now. Shopify, I would agree. Shopify has probably made the most content out of any team. Then I'd say Team Liquid has done some pretty good, like Team Liquid this split has done some awesome stuff. Especially their my favorite one was like there's a Imposter Among Us. And then third, I'd say Cloud9. Cloud9 having I think they've utilized Meteos very, very well the split. Um he sort of cross-pollinating between the dive audience and actually having his own little podcast, which is something, by the way, that I specifically shouted out Cloud9 and I said they should use Meteos to talk to their players about, once a week. And they actually did it. I don't know that they heard what I said, but yeah, I would say probably Shopify, Team Liquid, and Cloud9. I don't know. I might put not in that order. I might put Cloud9 second. No, Cloud9's third, but I'm not sure which is first. Um, the video told me on Fake God Cooking was pretty funny. Yeah. I'd say swap TL and Shopify. Yeah, I was saying I'm not sure who's first, TL or Shopify. And then I think in terms of their Twitter game, 100 Thieves did really well. They didn't I felt like their merch and whatnot. FlyQuest did a pretty good job on Twitter as well. I just don't think their YouTube was that great. Like they had that whole live event, which was awesome, but then they didn't utilize like chopping that up and making them into videos. They kind of just like dropped the whole video with the same thumbnail. Yeah, I think teams need some work on their YouTubes. Dignitas had a few videos to begin with, but they were kind of plain and boring, honestly. They had one video that I really enjoyed, which was like they had Dig and they had the top Rich. I said Shopify because I'm Tomio's number one fan. So any content with him is 10 out of 10. Why are you a Tomio fan? He's not even an LCS. Is it from his DSG time or his C9 time? Wait, I would really love to get in touch with the editor for Tomio is better than any of these LCS noobs. They just don't know it yet. I mean, I don't know. I can't be a Tomio fan because I just feel like he's this teenager that cannot control. He's just like overhyped, over energy. No, the editor for Team Liquid. I know the editor for Shopify. The editor for Team Liquid. I had talked to him during summer finals because he was like out there talking to the fans that were waiting in the line, but I never got his name or anything, and I wasn't actually planning on making videos at that time. Um, but yeah, he's really good. He's smart about what he like the way he thinks about it, and just from talking to him very briefly, it was like 15 minutes or something, just like kind of standing under the shade of a tree. He's very passionate about what he does, and I can see that he's improved from split to split. So I'd love to talk to him. It's definitely better than multiple starting LCS junglers. Like who? I mean, probably Armeo, but I don't think he's better than. Okay, off the wall question, but my final one before getting back to work. Sure. Oh yeah, it is. You should be at work. Thoughts on Drew popping up in content in his future as a law content creator? Thoughts on Drew? Who's Drew? Tomio clears both XU and Armea. Am I crazy? Who's Drew? Drew Brees? I don't think that's who you mean though. Oh, Travis Gafford, camera guy. The gold play. Oh, I see. I see. Oh, his name's Drew. Um, yeah, I remember him. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him. I think he might have Broden route, and he's got skills for it. I mean, if he's involved, huh? Yeah, I'd have to watch like rewatch back a bunch of stuff, like specifically focus on him. But off the top of my head, I think that would be a really cool idea. I think getting different types of people involved often gives different perspective that I wouldn't have, or that players wouldn't have, or that you know what a cameraman might think is different than what the editor might think, different than what the artist might think. So I mean, I'm all for it. I thought Broden was doing Travis Gafford stuff, but I guess Broden's moved on to bigger things. All right, I'll try to find him on Twitter, see if I can reach out to him. But yeah, I do agree also, Truman, that Tomio might be better than XU and Armeo. I just don't like his personality. Like, especially after he won with DSG, he couldn't stop moving, and I get that, but it was just I don't know. It frustrated me for some reason, and he's always been just this kind of like hip 16-year-old. That's the vibe that I get from him, and I just don't enjoy it. I don't want him to be like professional or anything, but I just not a fan of that kind of persona. But yeah, 2019, Team Liquid make two more changes. 2020, they only make one change. They get rid of Brox. They bring in Brox. That get rid of what's his name? The Filipino jungler. Come on, I know his name. Wait, what is his name? He's like Xmithy. There we go. You gotta admit he has a skill though. He's good, but I don't know how much of that was like him versus the team he was on because he's played with Fake God and Zazel both splits, and they were the better players on both academy splits. And a lot of time, it's easy for a jungler to look really good when he plays with really good players. His mechanics are good. Yeah, I agree. That part you can tell immediately. His mechanics are good. Um, whether he has the the brains behind it, I don't know. Got way more potential than anyone on the DSG roster. Um, I mean, I would say maybe Diplex might have more potential, in my opinion. The first oh, that wasn't DSG, never mind. Who was it? Meech. Maybe Meech, and yeah, I do think he's gonna make it to LCS. Like, just from watching him play, I haven't watched any of his streams, but from watching him play on DSG and on C9A, he looks like someone who should be in the LCS. He looks like he could be the next Blabber, honestly. Um, I do think Shaden is probably better, to be honest. Watching Shaden, yeah, Shaden looks really good. Um, he didn't look very good in LCS, but that was on EG. I don't blame anyone for not looking good on EG. That one split when they got rid of, yeah, yeah. I would put Shaden as the best non LCS jungler. Yeah, EG screwed him pretty hard. Um, but it is what it is. Hopefully he gets his second shot. Him and Chime, I was really sad to not see starting in LCS this year, but it is what it is. Who knows? They might make it onto Team Liquid, because part of the reason I hate them is because they make changes every single split, even when it doesn't make any sense. It's very frustrating. The amount of changes as well. Like, I'm down to upgrade. What they did between 2018 and 2019 made so much sense. They got rid of like their weakest link in Ole, right? And Pole Belter might not have been their weakest link. Maybe he was the second or third weakest link. But again, they wanted a better laner, and back then Jensen was just better than Pole Belter. There were times where Pole Belter was better than Jensen. It's just at that point in 2019, I think Jensen was probably better. So they pick up two upgrades. CoreJJ was like the biggest upgrade I think that ever happened in history. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger upgrade. Um, but in 2020, they bring in Broxa, who was the beginning of why I started to not like Team Liquid. Like, I really was super suspicious of that move, because everybody knew that Broxa was good, but he would not in like 2018. 2019 started going downhill, and by 2020, it didn't look like he was going to be that big of an upgrade. And as you can see, like in 2021, Brox's career just kept going down and down, and he had a really good time. And I just think that they started getting players that were not fit the team. They just want to get the biggest names. CLG Now Energy always was the best at keeping players and never benching them. For Broxa, yeah, dude, Broxa getting Bud Light aced was really sad, but he won world. Well, he just lost everything after that. I know, right? He went to Worlds Finals. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did fine in 2019. Like, they were they played pretty well, I think, in 2019, Fnatic. But at the end of the day, like, only one team wins, right? And G2 was clearly the good team. Um, it was G2 and Fnatic, but G2 was clearly the one that was better in 2019. 2018 was Fnatic. 2019 was G2. And so they bring in Broxa, which just felt like a really weird move. And I remember a lot of analysts saying, I think I will dominate as well, was like, this is not a good move. Like, you don't, did you not watch LEC? I think, yeah, it was the first split of LEC in 2019. Did you not watch LEC? Did you not watch the games? Like, Broxa is not it anymore. And that was like weird. Then Doublelift does his thing. I don't blame Team Liquid for keeping Doublelift. Obviously, he brought them 4 trophies, and he was a huge part in all those four. Um, and then they bring in Tactical, which I love. I've known about Tactical. I think I told him this story, but the owner of the team that Tactical used to play on before before he made it onto TSM Academy, used to work with one of my family members, and he used to like watch Tactical's games on the TV. So I was very aware, and like I would, hear about it and whatnot in conversations at dinner and stuff. And so I was aware of that team. I don't remember the name of the team now. This was back in like 2019, maybe. Um, but yeah, when Tactical got picked up to TSM Academy, they were like throwing a celebration at the store where they used to work. And so I was like watching his games at TSM Academy. I was like, oh, he's actually pretty good. So when he gets picked up onto Team Liquid, I was actually happy. I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. You're pairing someone very young with someone very experienced. It might not be like easy to be in that environment, but hey, if you got the shot, you take it, right? They make it. He gets that quadra kill. They still lose the game in game 5. They make it to Worlds. go 3-3. And another thing about Team Liquid is one thing that's very frustrating being a Team Liquid fan was that first week of Worlds, they would always just like completely drop the ball. And it was just so frustrating to watch them play because they would just play so scared. And then they'd be like, oh, wait, we can just be aggressive and play Twitch and just like go all in. And they play so much better, but it's too late because you're already 0-3. But yeah, that's the history of being a Team Liquid fan. 2021. Guess what? They make more changes. They get Santorin because Broxa wasn't good enough, right? And then they get Alfari because I don't know if Impact wanted to leave. That move was I'm a huge Impact fan, and getting rid of Impact, even for Alfari, who I was a big Alfari fan as well, just made no sense to me. Why would you do that? Like Impact is Impact. Do you not realize how amazing this guy is? Um, let's see, they made 2 changes, right? And which is the least they've made in a long time, right? They had to bring in Armeo as well because Santorin had those, migraines or headaches. I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember. Or was that no, that was in 2022 where Santorin got the headaches and Armeo had to sub in, right? Yeah, that was 2022. Um, or wait, was it 2020? It was the year with perks. So it must have been 2021. Yeah, yeah, it was this year where Santorin had the whole issues. 2022, he didn't have any issues. But yeah, they make 2 changes, and even though they don't win, they made finals both splits, if I'm not mistaken. And they were really close to winning that they were like up 2-1 against Cloud9 in 2021 in finals. Didn't manage to win, that's fine. I'm not here to say if you don't win, I'm not going to be your fan. My problem is you spent a year with so let's go back to 2020. You spent a year with Broxa, right? And then you did not develop him into someone I can be a fan of, and you got rid of him. You brought in Tactical for a year and a half, and then you got rid of him again. You brought in Alfari for a year, and then you got rid of him. And then you brought in Bippo for a year, and then you got rid of him. And then you brought in Summit for a year, and then you got rid of him. Like, how am I supposed to be a fan of this team when you're first of all, I don't like the direction you're going with, right? Just buying out the best players and not actually building a cohesive team. And then you're not making content around that team because all they're supposed to do is win and not actually make the LCS thrive or anything. And then you just get rid of them and then bring in another team. Hi, Clyde. I love the title of this video. Thank you, Mega. Yeah, I used to be a Team Liquid fan. I used to be a huge Team Liquid fan back in 2015. But just decision after decision after decision after decision made it so that I I can't cheer for this team anymore. I cheer for their demise. I cheer for their downfall. I want them to lose. And I'm so upset that they won finals. And I was actually after finals ended, I was gonna stream like depression. Team Liquid won. I hate this. But I was like, okay, that's too sad. Um, but yeah, from 2018 to 2019, they made 2 changes, completely understandable changes. After that, your 2020 change, I understand wanting a better jungler, especially because Xmithy needed to go. Same, yeah. I feel you, Mega. Xmithy needed to go. He was getting drunk before big games. Like he needed to go. Um, I don't agree with getting Broxa in 2021. I don't agree with getting rid of Impact. Right? 2022, you get rid of Tactical. You get rid of Jensen. You get rid of. Did they get rid of Santorin? No, Santorin still stayed. He came back. He was finally back. And then you got rid of Alfari and you brought in Bwipo, and then you got rid of him the next year. So even though I didn't like the fact that you made such a big super team, like I would have loved if you had not brought in, Bwipo and left Alfari in, or like, yeah, I just felt like it was too many changes and there's no consistency in the team. So you're not building anything with the team and the fan base isn't growing either, right? We're cooking in here. Hey, Austin. I talking about the constant changes the Team Liquid makes, no consistency in their roster, some very like strange changes all the time that happened, and not making content that fans can relate to the players. And even when they do, they just don't make it well. And then the next year, it's a new set of players with Summit and Pioshik and no Broxa, no Santorin, no Jensen, no Bjergsen, like just completely new players. And just over and over again, you're you cannot connect with this team. You cannot help but not liking this team because if a player, if you liked Bwipo and Bwipo joined Team Liquid and then they benched him exactly a year afterwards, why are you going to like Team Liquid when they got rid of the player that you wanted and they didn't do a good job at highlighting his personality? Like in 2015, we had Breaking Point. No, Breaking Point was like 2016, end of 2016. But still, like we had their docu series, we had reasons. Mark Z was there. Smells like a full meal. Keep cooking. Yeah, like they were actually before they started winning, they had to make content in order to stay relevant, right? Even in 2017, where they had their worst year ever and they were almost like kicked. If Double If didn't come, they were 100% going to lose that series, the relegations, and we're gonna get relegated. But well, it happened. I don't think that that should have been legal, like, but it is what it is before franchising. And there was reason to care about the team. Like Midlit was a thing. I didn't like it, but I still watched it. People follow people, not orgs. I don't think that has to be the case, Mega. I think they don't do a good job of making the org seem a place that you want to cheer for the org. They don't make decisions that they don't explain the decisions in ways that make fans want to stay. So I follow orgs. Hershey Lee. Yeah, I mean, Optic is a great example where you might disagree with them, like getting rid of um, Rambo for Nate Shot. Like there's so many decisions that they made, but at the end of the day, it was the organization, the way like any person that joins Optic becomes an Optic player, right? When Bwipo joins Team Liquid, he's still Bwipo. He's just playing on Team Liquid. It's very different than when someone joins Optic, they start doing things the Optic way. People are able to do both, but saying, yeah, people are able to do both, but saying it's one more than the other. Yeah, I agree. It can be either. It can be both, like what you say. Um, it's just Team Liquid doesn't give you a reason to do either. I think this split, their content's a little bit better. Um, but I just don't think they're making enough of it. I don't think they're chopping it up. They're putting it in the right places. I don't think they're like shoving it in your face because they have this from the very top, from Steve, they have this mentality that winning is what's going to bring us fandom. And that is objectively false. TSM had won for a very long time, had a huge fan base, and let it all crumble. You can have a fan base without winning. 100 Thieves, when they came in, they had a fan base. It wasn't based on winning. They didn't win until, was it 2021? Yeah, and they only won once. So the idea of like winning means you have a fan base. CLG had a huge fan base. Double F had a huge fan base, and he had a whole subreddit that I was a part of. I definitely wasn't a part of, where it was like called Double Lift's Trophy Case, and it was empty. And he was like one of the most popular North American players ever, and to this day, I love the POV. Optic fans would embrace the play. Yeah, not all Optic fans, honestly, but it depends. I like that POV. Yeah, unless it's Kenny. I don't know who Kenny is, but oh, hi, Sizzle. It's quite frustrating when Team Liquid gets rid of all their players, doesn't give you a reason to be a fan of Team Liquid, doesn't give you a reason to be a fan of the players, right? Even when the players are there for a single year, it's not enough to make me a fan. I'm a Bwipo fan, but when he left Team Liquid, I did not say, "Oh, I'm still a Team Liquid fan because Bwipo used to play on there," which is very, very different. Bjergsen, I was a Bjergsen fan, and when Bjergsen left TSM, I was still a TSM fan. Despite not liking a lot of what they were doing, I was still a TSM fan because TSM had done so much from 2015 to 2019 to make me a fan of this team. Of the specifically of that Bjergsen did such a good job of making me a fan of TSM that even when he left, I'm still a TSM fan. Could you rant about CoreJJ? I need to hear it. JK. Um, CoreJJ, I don't think does enough to bring fans in, but I will give him this. He does so much behind the scenes of making bringing up rookies, and I think in his specific situation, I can forgive him because he does so much for bringing it for developing rookie talent. Like Spawn has said this story multiple times, but he literally was involved in who they hired in the academy system, not just on the LCS stage, but he wanted to specifically pick which rookies he thought were good enough to be on the academy so that they can, amateur players turn into academy players, turn into LCS players, and that's how Jan was actually picked. He's always running in houses. He's always about improving the region, and so not everybody needs to be involved in making fandoms. I can forgive CoreJJ for not being the person who's the best in interviews or doing a bunch of content, doesn't have his own YouTube channel or TikTok or whatnot. Um, isn't always in front of Team Liquid. Even when they do a lot of their content, sometimes it's not Core that's involved. I can forgive that because he's really busy doing other stuff. Other players, look, your 2 extra games of solo queue versus getting, like, another more fans to your team, those fans are so much more important, trust me. Saying here, still a TSM fan, the org did a great job with winning teams. Yeah, I agree. CoreJJ doesn't deserve much hate, but an analysis writing Core too hard. Yes, that is a big problem. Afro still be playing. I agree. A big problem I have, Hershey, is exactly what you said. Even when Core wasn't playing good, you can criticize him. Like, you can just not talk about him. But the fact that they still gave him an All Pro was robbery, and not giving it to people like Afro and or people who are actually, like, deserving of it. It just felt like you keep praising him for things he did in the past and not today. That's not how that works. Legacy, you look at everything, but for today, only today matters. So I do agree with that. Afro has always been underrated. Like, every time a player plays with Afro, he looks so good, and then he leaves Afro and he looks not even playing in LCS. Like, Johnson isn't playing in LCS. Stixay ended up leaving LCS. Like, did not look nearly as good after he stopped playing with Afro. But pretty much everybody that played with Afro just looks so much better with Afro, and it's because he's just that good. Exactly. Cody Sun as well. Like, he's not playing. I hope Summer Thieves can do some more player focused stuff. I agree. I would love to see. I think their Twitter game, I was saying, has been very good. I love all these points about Core. Yeah. Thank you, Mega. I do think that they had that one podcast with Golden Glue, and then the three North Americans. But I would love to see more stuff. I'd love for that. Like, just chop it up, put it on Twitter, put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube Shorts. Just be there so when people are just mindlessly scrolling and not thinking of 100 Thieves, it pops up. And then when that pops up, it causes, the more times you see 100 Thieves throughout the day, the more you're going to be a fan of the higher likelihood you're going to watch their games. And then that means you're going to watch their YouTube videos more often. That means you're going to be on their Twitter. That means you're going to see them more often. They're going to give you more reason to be fans. If they don't do that, yeah, I'm happy to have the high spec too. I agree. Afro is a true leader and could promise top 4 finishes easy with the right pieces. I agree. Afro, I would have loved for him to go to TSM, but I can see why he wouldn't want to go to TSM with Ziggs, because he's like, oh, the fans are just going to hate you, and there's a lot of horror stories. But I would have loved for Afro to play on TSM, and I think that split instead of Sword Art, if you just bring an Afro, they probably make it. They win. They make it to Worlds. I don't know that they win finals like that. That was a pretty tough year to win finals. We had like 3 very good teams, but at the very least, they would have been top 3. They would have went to Worlds. I would have loved to see that happen. Thank God for pros. Yes, I agree. I also think that pros doesn't do a very good job at chopping up those pros. There's so many good clips that you could just chop up and you could put on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. They just don't do it. I don't understand why. Like, it's very little work for a lot of benefit. What's the worst that can happen? It's gonna get 1,000 views. Like, come on, that's 1,000 more than it would have gotten. Um, Mortless says, okay, what was the reason? Be a fan 2013, 2023. So I wasn't a fan. So the reason was because they had the most content of any other team. And the content was actually entertaining. And they brought in Bjergsen. And when they brought in Bjergsen, I was hooked. He was one of the very first imports, European imports, by the way. Team Liquid actually tried to get Bjergsen back then, but they ended up getting him in 2022, which was a very different Bjergsen. He changed from this like super shy kid, like even the intro of bringing in Bjergsen to the odd one being in the door, and he was like, "Who the f are you?" Like, that was hilarious, and they made a bunch of montages. Everybody was watching their stuff because it was good. Their what was it called? Legends became better and better and better. The interviews, they would always be doing interviews. Everyone was streaming, like they would always be streaming. Even when Double F joined, he'd be streaming. Bjergsen had a bunch of years where he was streaming until he asked specifically for them to get rid of his streaming contract. or clause in the contract, which it is what it is. There was a lot of reason to be a fan of those players, and those players made you fans of the team. And the team itself was giving you reasons to be a fan of those teams. I was locked in for releases. TSM Legend, it was very, very good, and then it became very, very dull towards the end of 2023. And I think there were still some episodes which were really, really good. There are parts of episodes that were good, but just if you look at even the length of the episodes decreased, the amount of stuff that you back behind the scenes, the amount of players, like what the players used to say, the personalities is just very, very different. I do think Legends summer of 2023 was better than spring by a lot, by a mile. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. There was a lot of reasons to be a fan back in 2013, more or less. Not just the fact that they were winning or making to every single final until 2018, right? That was another big reason. You kind of tune into the finals because it's the biggest match, and what name do you see? TSM, and that's a reason for you to start. Like whenever you see TSM again, you're like, oh, I remember that team, right? Whereas if you're just seeing like, I don't know, what's a team like Immortals, you're probably never seeing them in the big game, so you're not even like, oh wait, there's a team called Immortals. You don't even know about them. What LPL LCK team does TL? Is that I don't understand that question, Mega. But I was for LCK, I was a Hanwha Life fan when they first joined. They had a very cool. Well, Hanwha's big in Korea, anyways. What LPL LCK does Team Liquid play like? Oh, I have no idea. I would ask Kelsey Moser. I think she ended her stream a few hours ago. But yeah, I would ask Kelsey Moser. She would have a better idea. LCK team, honestly, none. They don't play like any. LPL, I have not watched as much LPL this split, so I couldn't tell you. But you should watch FPX. Milky Man is the way. Milky Man is the way. Sure, but at the same point as Steve has no winning brings fans. Also, back in the day, most popular players streamed, and it was easier to fan players and then cheering for those streams because they stayed together for longer times. Well, isn't that part of my point as well? Like, what I said earlier is that in 2018, 2019, it was so easy to be a Team Liquid fan because of the players, because of the stories, and because they won. But then they did nothing to retain those fans, right? And there's other ways to bring in fans. Winning is one of them, but there's other ways. You don't just say, oh, I'm only going to win, because guess what? You've been Team Liquid since 2015, 2024. You won 5 splits. That's not even half of the time you were there. They were almost relegated in 2017. 2016, they made it to semifinals. They didn't even make it to finals. They were close, but they didn't do it. There's so many times where they didn't win. They had so many second place finishes, so many third place finishes, and they finished ninth more than once, right? They finished ninth twice in their league history with champions and world champions to boot. But if you're not giving me any reason to be to remain a fan, and you're changing your players that made me a fan, if you won with Doublelift and then got rid of him, and you won with Impact and got rid of him, and then you brought in Whipple and you got rid of him, and then you brought in Jensen and got rid of him, you brought in Bjergsen and you got rid of him, you brought in Tactical and got rid of him. You just keep getting rid of players, and you don't give me any reason to be a fan of those players or the team. Like, what am I supposed to do? Why would I care for this team? Especially if it's a player that I like. If you bring in Broxa, and I'm a huge Broxa fan, and then you get rid of him 1 year afterwards with no reason, you didn't build up his brand, right? You didn't like do a bunch of content around him for me to like enjoy his presence on your team, and then you got rid of him, and he goes to CLG and gets Bud Light Ace. Like, I'm not going to be a fan of Team Liquid. Mainly because they stayed together for long times. You realize would have rather watched this falling super team C9 or undeservedly cocky FlyQuest win over T-Light? You really would have rather watched this? Yes, absolutely. I would have much rather seen Team Liquid lose, because I don't want this team to win. I don't want them to win until they stop doing what they're doing. Until I know that next year going in, they're not going to make 2 to 4 changes, right? Until I know that they're going to give me a reason to be a fan of their team. Like, Jan is streaming all the time. He gives me a reason to want to be a Team Liquid fan. Spawn is doing a bunch of public appearances. The Team Liquid editor and shooter, Drew, I think is his name, he does a really good job at making videos and putting out the personalities and giving them opportunities to show themselves to us. And so, yeah, I'm a Jan fan. But is that really thanks to Team Liquid? Partly, but it's partly due to Jan's stream. When Jan leaves, am I gonna be loyal to Team Liquid? Not really, right? Because I was more of a fan of Jan than Team Liquid, especially since I know that they tried to get rid of APA and Jan. Which I get, you want to upgrade, but four changes. They tried to go for four changes, right? They wanted to bring in Summit, they wanted to get rid of Summit, they wanted to get rid of Pioshik, and they wanted to get rid of their bot and mid. Like, if they're gonna every year just get rid of all their players, why do I want to be a fan of this team? Even if you win, the next year you're not gonna have the same team that won. I won't care. A big part G2 was so popular was because they kept that same core, right? They had that same core that won 2 years in a row. They didn't just like make upgrades. And even when they did make upgrades, it was one player and then one other player. Like they didn't blow up that whole roster. Even now they have what? 1, 2, yeah, they only have two of the main rosters, but like Team Liquid only has one. I mean, I guess they brought back Impact, but yeah, you get my point. Um, where was I? Sorry. Fourth place finishes? Yeah, forever fourth. Spring split doesn't matter. I don't think so. Spring split is an absolutely huge opportunity for you to build fan base, right? You're paying all this money to be in the league. You really should utilize that to make fans, right? Um, the overall team was insanely bad when they imported Bwipo and Hansamo. That team had a ton of eyes. I don't think so. When they first started, they won lock-in pretty convincingly. They were actually really good to start, but then they couldn't like find an identity and they tried to do too many things and didn't stick with one thing that was working for them. And you can tell like Hansama day one versus day 100, he looked way worse. I think they actually got worse and other teams got better. But from my recollection, they were in the upper bracket. They beat EG 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. They were like one play away from making it to finals instead of 100. So I think they were actually good. They just got better worse over time. That's my recollection, at least. I didn't want Fly to win either. Uh, I can see that. I mean, I would have much preferred Shopify wins, right? Which obviously they didn't even make playoffs. But if I had to pick one team to not win, it would always be Team Liquid. I would much rather see Team Liquid not win than I mean I don't care if Dig wins. Like I don't care. I just don't want to see Team Liquid win. What reasons do you have to be a fan of FlyQuest 24 before them signing Bippo? I mean, they're doing a lot of content, right? I don't think they're doing enough or they're utilizing it as well as they could be, but I I think they're trying, they're moving in the right way. Um, I think this is a complete new project for them, right? They brought in complete new leadership. I do think they should be doing more effort, like you said. I think they have a very good Twitter game with their merch and whatnot. Their content has improved. They're actually giving you reasons to care about their players. If you watch their inventory series, they did. I think I haven't seen. Who haven't I seen? Maybe they did all of them. Busio, maybe I haven't seen his inventory. I don't think it's out yet, but they're making content about their players. Have they done enough? I don't think so, but they're starting, which is a good spot. So I do think they're giving you some reasons. I'd be surprised if Jan isn't a franchise player for Team Liquid now after yesterday. Maybe Austin. I'd hope so. I just seeing Team Liquid, they've constantly made changes, and if they're bringing Umti on a multi-year contract, like they're not going to get rid of Impact after bringing him. They're not getting rid of Core. That leaves 2 out of 3 players. Is Umti going to be here next split? Like next year? I doubt it. I doubt all three of APA Jan and what's his name? Umti are going to be. My guess is 2 out of 3 of those players are not going to be on Team Liquid next year. I mean, if Jan plays for Team Liquid the same duration as Beard played on TSM, they would probably become a Team Liquid fan. In a way, if you know, yes, I completely agree, Mortless. I just don't think Team Liquid would give that person the opportunity. The only person they have stayed with on a long term is CoreJJ, which I agree with. It is amazing. I'm not even against like from 2019 to 2024 having a completely different team. I'm not against that, but don't make 4 changes every single year. Like you can't make 2, 3, 2, 4, 3 like changes every year, right? I'm okay with making gradual upgrades. Maybe 1 year you get rid of 1 player, 2 players. I think 2 should be the maximum that you're changing, unless like there's a huge issue. Like the year they got rid of, they brought in Broxa. I completely understand. You had to get rid of like Smithy. You had to. Even though I was against picking up Broxa, I would have preferred someone else. You couldn't keep Smithy. I agree. But then 2021, 2022, 2023, like there's 1 player from those teams. There's only 1 player from 2021 to 2024, and each team, each year, they either did 2, 3, or 4 changes. Like Yeah, it's really hard to be, especially when they bring in someone you like, and then they get rid of them the next year. It's like, man, I don't want to see you bringing in good players because you're just gonna get rid of them. It sucks. Do you have a Discord? Do you mean like a public Discord or just for myself, Hershey? The LCS lock-in tournament has no incentive to try hard and win. Um, well, that's sort of why they got rid of it because people weren't there in time. But at that time, people tried really hard. At that time, they were actually trying. If you had your full team in, you were trying. Um, I mean, money is money. At that time, it wasn't that important. But from what I recall, the 2 years that they did have lock in, it was like players were tryharding. Um, I could yap about being a Flycos fan since 2019 lost. Oh yeah, if you want to see a reason to be a Flycos fan, I would suggest watching Flight Check and asking them why you should be a Flycos fan. They probably have better reasons than I do. Um, about what game we talking? League of Legends. Felix 10k8. Uh, we're talking about League of Legends. Team Liquid has this thing where they just get rid of all their players all the time, and if they bring in one of a player that you like, guess what? He's not going to be there next year. They brought in Bjergsen. I was super happy. They brought him in Bupo. I was really happy. They got rid of them next year. They brought in before that they brought in Alfari. I was super hyped for him. Got rid of them. They brought in Tactical 3 splits. He's gone. Like everyone that I care about. They brought in Rainover next year. He's gone. I mean, he moved to a coaching position, but still, they just get rid of their players all the time. And a lot of times it just doesn't make sense. A lot of times the moves they make, everybody in the community criticize them because it makes no sense. Why are you importing these specific players? Like it just the vision of the team, like you're not doing a good enough job communicating what your vision is, right? I would have loved for Spawn to start off and be like, this is the reason we brought these players in. This is our vision. This is what we're trying to do. And we understand that you might disagree with it, but this is like ABC. These are the steps. These are the things we see. And even if you're wrong, at least you gave me a reason. But if you're not going to give me a reason and just do whatever, like why would I care, right? I get what you're saying, but every single team minus C9 does the same exact thing. Valid points. But is it April Fool's? Oh no, it's not an April Fool's thing. You're right. Fast food familia. Um, wait, what are you? They couldn't stay with the team with the results they got that year, man. I mean, it. I don't think the super team was a good team to start, anyways. Like they got rid of 4 of those players to begin with. You could have kept like one of them, two, like more, right? If it didn't work, get rid of 2 of players and keep 3 of them. Make more. The other point that I was making earlier was that they didn't even make good enough content surrounding those players for me to feel like, oh, I was happy that they were on Team Liquid. Like you didn't make any content surrounding them, and then you just got rid of them, and it's disappointing. Whippo didn't even have a team that next year because he moved his whole life and he expected to stay there for more than a year. I mean, C9 choose the roster too a lot, yes, but again, they'll change like 1 or 2 players maximum, right? They'll bring in a new mid laner. They'll bring in. They had that whole retooling when the whole LS thing happened, but at least they came out and they were like, "This is what we're trying to do," and they were public about it, and they made a lot of content about it, whether it was specifically through LS or through their own channel. They provided reasoning, and in general they don't make a lot of changes very often. They'll make 1 to 2 changes, and I'm okay with that because the core of the team is still there. The core of the team that I actually care about is still there, like NRG, for example, from when they were CLG. When they brought in Palafox and Contracts, I was a fan of that team because I'm a fan of Contracts, and then they stayed with that team for a year and a half, got rid of the bottom lane, and then next year made 1 change. I'm okay with that. I'm not saying keep the team forever and ever, but it's just they're making changes, not explaining why they're making the changes, huge changes over and over and over, and it just seems like they're the strategy about it. They're just bringing in random players. Why do I care about Umti? He won, and I still don't care about him. You know, like if this was Tomio, for example, I probably would care more because at least he's someone like I care about Jan and the fact that he won. I'm happy, but I don't care that Umti won because he's just some guy from LCK that I have no connection to. Um, Who do you think are next on the chopping block? They're going to top 3 next split. Like I said, Mega, I think it's probably going to be mid jungle bot. I think they're going to. I am very, very, very spectacle that they're going to keep two of those players. My guess is that they're going to make 2 to 3 changes going into next split. That's my guess. Okay, but I said I'd rather for Dignitas win than TL, which is why it's because I hate Team Liquid. It's like consistency of things, right? Not that I want Dignitas to win, but let me read the rest of the question, which makes me no sense because the team is different every year. I agree. I think I don't like Dignitas either. I was just I used to be a Team Liquid fan, and the fact that they made me sour and kept doing things that and saying things that go against what you should be doing for a fan made me a hater. Just like TL. No, no, no. It's not because so, I mean, more or less, I would say maybe go back and listen to what I said. But the TLDR is I used to be a fan, and they just kept making all these nonsensical changes. They stopped making content that was the reason why I became a fan of that team. They had two very, very good years where it was very easy to be a fan. They just like stopped doing what was working and started chasing winning over creating fandom, over making content, over engaging with your fans, over everything else. And the direction that they went with was a direction that I personally didn't agree with. And at first, I gave them the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, hey, I'm a fan of this team. But then it became to a point where like you're making changes I don't approve of all of the time. And when you do make a change that I like and I'm excited for, it's changed within a year, if not less, right? And you're just not giving me any reason, and then you go publicly and say, "Hey, we just want to win. We don't care about like making content because winning is the only way we're going to make fans." And it's like, no, that's not the reason I was a fan to begin with. I was a fan when you guys were stuck fourth forever. You guys were forever fourth. It was a meme. You were the fourth team to win LCS, and the meme stuck with you guys. And then you're telling me that the only way to be fans is for you to win? No, like it's just not true, and I don't like them. Um, but yeah, those are my reasons for not liking um, Team Liquid. I am their official hater. If there was a official fan list, I would be on the official anti-fan. At first, I was saying like I'm an anti-fan because I don't want to say I'm a hater, but I just don't like this team. I like the players. I'm a huge Impact fan, and honestly, Yon is growing on me. I'm a big Yon fan now, but I just can't be. I can't be a fan of this organization. I can't be. I used to be a fan of Steve, like back when he was a player, and now I don't like the way he's going about things. I don't I just I yeah, I don't like it. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, you know. I became a fan of the team last year. 20 but it was TSM fans, so I'm trying to understand. Oh yeah, no problem, more or less. Yeah, ask away. Like maybe I don't do a very good job at explaining it or I get distracted or whatnot. I used to be a TSM fan as well. I was a huge Bjergsen fan, and that led to me being a TSM fan for a very long time. And even when he left, I was still a TSM fan, even though all this stuff happened with TSM. And yeah, I was a Team Liquid fan, and I was mortified in 2015 when they didn't make it to Worlds, and I was very sad when they didn't sandbag that one game. And if they did, they probably make it to finals, or at the very least, they make it to Worlds. But they didn't. In 2016, I was very sad when CLG double TP Impact, not Impact, Piglet dies. Like I, there was a lot of instances when I was sad, and I was very happy for them in 2018, 2019, even though they beat TSM, reverse swept. Like I was crushed, but honestly, I was less sad then than I am now for Team Liquid winning because at the end of the day, it's a team that I like that I won, even though it's not my favorite team. TSM was my favorite team, but now it's like I just hate this team. I can't. Piglet, yeah, yeah. Piglet was a thing. Midlet was a thing too back in 2017. We do not remember that. We don't like to remember those days. But I think you stayed a TSM fan the same way I did because of Bjerg being there for so long and just staying there. Yeah, it was a normal thing. It was. It was. Even when he left and went to Team Liquid, I was still a TSM fan. And when they played Team Liquid, it was weird for sure. Like that TSM team kind of sucked with Shenyi and like the whole Kaido thing. And wait, Shenhe is the I don't remember if Shenhe or Shenyi. I think it's Shenyi. Shenhe is like the character from Genshin. Um, but yeah, it just feels like they've decided to not make fans except through winning, which I don't think is a good strategy. I think you're not keeping your fans because you're not making enough content. You're not the content that you are making, you're not chopping it up, you're not posting it to places where fans can find it. You're not highlighting your players' personalities, and then you're just saying, "Hey, we're going to win," and that's going to make you a fan of our team. Well, all of the things that you have done along the way, you know how like in anime, it's like, oh, the real treasure was the journey. You guys have like stabbed people, done all these horrific things in order to get to the treasure, and then you open the treasure case and says, "Oh, it was the journey," but you lost all your friends along the way. And I feel like you may have won after 5 years of losing or not winning. Um, but at the end of the day, it was you lost the friends along the way. The TSM content, except Legend, wasn't good. I agree. The TSM content, especially in 2015, like was really good. I think it got worse later, but during that time, like it was really really good. TL had Breaking Point. Yes, I agree. They were one of the people who were like, we're gonna show our fans everything. There was stuff in Breaking Point. I was like, man, you really shouldn't put that in, but they still put it in, and I know that was like the mildest version. Like it was way worse, but it gave you a reason to be a fan of this team. Um, TL had Breaking Point and Squads, which I felt was yeah, yeah. But yeah, nowadays you just want something like some of their content recently has been pretty good. I do agree. But again, you're not optimizing the game for YouTube. Like you're posting something onto YouTube, and then you're not doing it the YouTube way. You don't have the like these banger thumbnails or titles, which again recently they have been doing. So I will say in the past 4 or 5 years they haven't done this, but nowadays they have started doing it again. Um, yeah, like I don't your TikTok is 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 dead. I never see any of your stuff on TikTok. And I think earlier last year in December, I had a video and I was using Team Liquid as an example, and I just showed their TikTok, and literally like this random one trick player had way like 10 times more followers on TikTok and 10 times more videos than Team Liquid. They didn't even have TikTok up until last year. Like that they're just not producing stuff. Like we live in a modern age, right? And the way you make fandom is not by winning. It just that's one of the ways, but it's the least likely way you could achieve it. The best way you can do it, like what Optic did, even before they were a professional team, they were these YouTubers and they had so much content than streamers. Like they understood. And I think I actually let me pull this up. I have a quote from the Optic gaming book that they did, where he says it's somewhere here where he says, like, at this stage, it wasn't even about winning. We wanted to win, but that's not what mattered most to me. This is Hex speaking, if I'm not mistaken, the CEO, the owner. I knew that if I wanted to build a successful team, the foundation had to be fandom. The fans mattered. I knew what it was like to be a fan. So, like he understood that you need to build fans. Like he even says here, we had to build a championship fan base before even thinking about building a championship team. And I feel like Team Liquid are trying to build a championship team and not building a championship fan base. I honestly I honestly most LoL I I honestly most LoL related team content is pretty dead. Oh, I honestly think most LoL create yes for most teams. I agree. Like, is there a team that is smashing content wise? No, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to show that you can easily do it, right? I think David was here earlier and he was like, "What's your top three teams?" And I think Team Liquid have started doing good content. Shopify has the most content of any team, like straight up, they just made the most content. And Cloud9, actually, one of the things in that video that I was talking about, where I was saying that Team Liquid doesn't have any TikTok followers, I called out Cloud9. I'm like, you have Medios, who's an amazing personality, and he's doing nothing to bring people to watch the games. He's not talking to the players. He could easily do a podcast with the players. And then guess what? He's doing a podcast with the players. I'm not going to take credit for that, but I'm glad that they realized that they should do that. I also called out FlyQuest. I'm like, you have LS and Ovally, and they both have their own podcasts, not on Team FlyQuest's channel. Like, how awesome would have been back then to have or right now to have inspired Whippo and what's his name, like well, Ovly is not there anymore, but LS just have a weekly podcast talking about other people's games or their own games or whatever. Like that would bring a lot of viewership from the LS side. um but yeah, I think teams aren't doing enough, and one of the things I want to do is get really good at making content and showing the teams, like, you guys saying that, oh, the fans don't want the content, they're not watching it, it's because you guys suck. It's not because fans don't want to watch it. It's because what you're giving them is low quality, low effort, or even if it is high quality, you're not playing YouTube's game. You're not getting the thumbnail, so fans actually want to click on it. And here's how you do it. So that's sort of what I believe in. They both negotiated to have their own podcast, their own channel, not FlyQuest. Um, yeah, I mean that then why sign them, right? Like if that's just my thing, Austin. Like if you're bringing in LS, he should do something to bring you on to the team, right? Otherwise, why are you signing him? I don't know. I wasn't privy to like their negotiations, and if that's what they wanted to do, sure. But in that case, maybe you find someone else. Maybe like you have Spica. You're not using him that way, right? He's just streaming. I don't know that Speak is a big enough personality for you guys, but he's popular. I saw a stream the other day, and I think that it had a bunch of people on there. So you could use Speaka that way. Maybe he also negotiated not to have that, but I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna sign someone like Broxa, for example, Team Liquid, he really should be doing stuff. Like they have Mid Beast as Team Liquid, and he doesn't interact at all. Like, what's the point of signing a streamer? I know it's for like contracts for their like sponsorships, but I think they're not utilizing them how they could. You could easily have that. Team Liquid had a bunch of really cool people on their team. They had Ella Stylish for some time, and he was really big. They should have had some sort of integration. That's my opinion. So he should definitely be doing more fly, considering his. Yes, I agree. Um, I agree with you, Austin. Is TF Blade still with Team Liquid? I have no idea. I can look. TF Blade Law. He is. No, he's not. Seems like he left back in 2020. Yeah, he left in 2020. 100% not. Yeah, but even then, like I think if you don't want your professional players to be doing to have the brunt of like streaming and doing all those things, you hire streamers like Spica, like Broxa, like TF Blade, like LL Stylish, and then you have them build up their personalities, but bring them onto the stream for an hour a week, or like taking all the burden off of the players, except like showing up, and you have the streamer plan whatever the event is going to be, whatever the episode is going to be about, that kind of stuff. They don't do that, and I think that that's a whole nother topic. I don't think anyone does that except for Cloud9 now. They started doing it with Medios, which I'm very very happy about. It's actually, like I said, it's something that I want to see more teams do, and I'm happy that Cloud9 are doing it, and full kudos to them for doing it. Pros is really cool too. I don't know why teams don't do more stuff like that. I know 100 Thieves tried to copy Pros, where they had Golden Glue as the host and then three of their players. I think they had one episode. Hopefully, they do more because that was really nice. I enjoyed it. And I was talking about Pros as well. You really need to chop up these things and put them on TikTok and put them on YouTube Shorts and put them on like Facebook Reels and put them everywhere. Instagram's Reels as well, like on Twitter as well. Just it can spark conversation. It brings people to remember that the LCS exists. People who haven't watched LCS for a very long time. Like, I'm shocked, by the way. 100T still have Yasuo? No, there's no way he's Yasuo, right? They still have him? Didn't he join someone else? Yasuo. Isn't his name? Wait, his name's Bo. I don't know what his actual name is. There we go. He's still on 100? He is. Oh, wow. I haven't seen him. I stopped watching him back in like 2016, where he became more like as a personality, and rather than like I'm the best Yasuo that I can be, I'm trying to be really really good. And he was very educational on how to play Yasuo. Oh yeah, he joined in 2019 and never left. He's a gambler now, huh? I had no idea. I haven't watched the stream, like I said, since like 2016 or something. Um, I think I watched some of his YouTube videos back in like 2018. It was quite frustrating to watch. Or no, it must have been 2019 when he joined 100. But yeah, I mean, everybody changes throughout their time, right? And if he changes and moves to a direction that I don't like, that's fine. Ella Stylish was like that too. Like, he was really good at Zed, and I enjoyed watching his gameplay. And then it became a little too memey for me. Bunny Fufu was someone I really liked when he was in LCS, and then he became the huge superstar online. I mean, we can look at. No, some of his thumbnails are like straight up not safe for work, so I'm not gonna look that up. But yeah, one last thing, TSM changed a lot as well. Bjerg in a similar fashion to TL around core. They did, and that's something that I didn't like about TSM either. I just felt like TSM took longer with those teams. Like, if you look at 2014, 2015, they pretty much had the same play. They always changed like two players, but then in 2015 they kept their roster. 2016 they brought in a new roster. They got rid of four players. 2017 they kept all those players. Obviously, Turtle had to step in because of Double Lift, but he was there again. They made the Biofrost change. 2018, they changed up 3 players again. They kept Hanser. 2019, they brought in made what is it? 3 changes again. 2020, they made 3 changes again. Yeah, you're right. Bunny Fufu, OnlyFans route speedrun was pretty impressive. Wait, he's on OnlyFans? What? I'm not gonna ask. Never mind. Never mind. Like the stream bozos, we need like the stream bozos, we need 10 like. Oh yeah, 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 I remember that. Dang, that's a throwback. We only at one. Lamau. Hey, we're at 3 now. Oh, it works. Dang, thank you, Truman. A true Bunny Fufu fan. Yeah, I don't know where he went to. I just know that I want like one of his thumbnails popped up one time on Twitter, and the people were like, "What the hell happened to Bunny Fufu?" And it was like, honestly, should have been rated R. Like there was less skin covered than skin not covered, and I'm not sure how you do that with League of Legends, but he managed to do it somehow. So I got you. Thanks, man. Um, but yeah, you're right. I guess that is he was doing League slash OnlyFans videos for a while somehow? Oh, no wonder that thumbnail, was not, uh, PG, which I think League of Legends is supposed to be like PG-13 or something. He got banned by Riot? Oh, wow. Oh, snap. But yeah, bringing back, your point, Mortless, about, like, TSM doing the same thing, um, I think you're right. So there might be a little bit of bias there because I just agreed with the direction that they went with a lot of the times. Like in 2020, I didn't like the fact that they brought in Kabe. Um, but I think their heyday, like from 2013 to like 2018, it wasn't, or 2017 wasn't really like that. Um, I think the first time they made like big changes was in 2016, and then 2016 through 2017 was pretty much the same. Like they made one change, but that's it. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. Uh, Everybody drop a like for our buddy Sitki. Oh, thank you for the algorithm. Yeah, I just had to, like I said earlier, I wanted to stream. I wanted to just stream yesterday and be like, I'm so sad that Team Liquid won. Like it's the worst possible scenario for me. But then I was like, that's pretty depressive. Let them enjoy their win, and then I'll talk about why I hate Team Liquid today. Um, the first big change was amazing in Beard. Yeah, Lost Boy in the summer. I agree. I was super excited for Bjergsen. It was like something that no one's ever done before. I think Seraph maybe been around that same time. It was really exciting, and he was like this monster. They didn't win that split. They made it to finals, but they won summer split when they brought in Lust Boy. I wanted both teams to lose yesterday. uh, nice. Is Seraph was after? Oh, okay. Seraph was after. Um, was Seraph 2015 then on CLG? Right? I don't remember anymore. I'm getting old. But it felt like a lot of things were more fun back in the day because there's just more personality. And in general, whenever you see like players interacting with each other all the time because it's such a small bubble, it feels so much better. Like I watch Civ 6, I like playing Civ 6, but I like watching it a lot too. And it's such a small community that when players play against each other, they all know each other. They're all talking to each other. Even post game, they're all just like, "Oh, why did you do that? Like, turn like back then you could have done that, but you did this instead." And I think if you had done that choice, and they're just all talking to each other, and it's such a cool vibe. Um, and it feels like everyone's bringing each other up together. And it doesn't feel that way with League of Legends. It just feels like the players do their thing and then they disappear during the off season. Summer 2014. Yeah, okay. So Seraph was the summer, and then Bjergsen was the spring, I think, when he took Reggie's spot. Like that was huge, by the way. That was, even if it didn't work out, I think it brought a lot of popularity to TSM because they made a huge change that no one had really like. Yeah, it was still the beginning, and it was just a bunch of North Americans playing against each other. You had Hotshot and Reggie, and getting rid of Reggie was pretty big. I'm glad that happened. Yeah, I think I will. Actually, 2014 Reggie X Special, an odd one left. Wait, Odd One didn't leave in 2014. He left in 2015, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, didn't they have that weird support in 2014 for a split? They had. Wait, no, Les Boy joined in 2014. I'm confused now. It's been a while. T.R. Samuel. Summer was amazing. You're right. 20 Summer. Odd One left. Chaos leaving was Glebe. Yes, Glebe. Oh my God, Glebe was something else, man. I don't know where they found that guy, and I'm glad they got rid of him. Okay, so 2014, they had a good record. Amazing, yeah, okay. The Odd One retires and was replaced by Amazing. Like Special was benched. Here's another thing. I think another thing with the changes in TSM was like players were just like retiring. Chaos obviously wanted to stay, but I think Reggie actually wanted to leave, and Odd One didn't want to play anymore. I think that's very different when a player is just like, I don't want to play, versus like a player moves their entire life, like Bupa going to Team Liquid, and then after 1 year being like, you know what, we're gonna bring in Summit. We don't want you. Um, Special was benched for Glebe. Yeah, okay, that was something. Yeah, and then Glebe only stayed for a single split. They needed to bring in someone else. I wonder what he's doing now. Retired? Dang, he's older than me. Oh, he played on a bunch of teams afterwards. He played on Winter Fox? No way. No, he didn't play on Winter Fox. Altic was the yeah. What? I don't remember this at all. Well, I guess he played for 2 weeks or 2 months. But yeah, that's all I had for why I hate Team Liquid. If you guys yeah, if you guys think that I'm being too harsh, well, they brought it onto themselves. So he bounced around a second before leaving, was mainly used as a sub. Oh, I see. Okay, Austin. As an EU frog, I was pretty happy with two rookies winning yesterday in NA and for core. Also am a Whippo disliker. Okay, happy he got beaten. See, I'm a Team Liquid hater, and I would have been happy that if Whippo won, because I don't want Team Liquid to win. I'm not too excited for FlyQuest to win, but I'm a Shopify fan. But hey, if they get to beat Team Liquid, I would have been very happy. Any team, like if 100 was playing against Team Liquid, I was cheering for 100. I was cheering for Cloud9. I was cheering for FlyQuest. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think both teams had like two rookies, right? So either way, the rookies would have won. But I'm happy for Jan and Impact for sure. I think they deserved it. Not happy for Steve or Team Liquid. But yeah, that's all I had. Thank you for watching. I appreciated you guys, challenging me on a bunch of ideas, asking me questions, and making me explain myself. It also helps to sometimes give them credit where credit is due, because sometimes you might put, hey, that doesn't make sense, and you guys are right. So yeah, it was fun, and I might talk about a different team later. Um, but yeah, that's all I got. So have a good rest of your day or good night, Mortless. I think it's probably around nighttime where you're at. So take care, guys.